In the year 2421, Earth had finally joined the Galactic Accord, a great alliance of powerful alien civilizations across the stars. The people of Earth were both nervous and excited. For many years, humans had watched the galaxy from afar. Now, for the first time, they were part of something much bigger. A celebration was held on Earth's main space station, called Harmony 1. It floated just above the planet, shining like a diamond in the sky. Leaders from different planets came, in ships of many colors and shapes. Some ships looked like flying birds, others like glowing jellyfish. Each carried ambassadors, royals, and scientists. But one ship stood out from the rest. It was shaped like a giant lotus flower made of crystal. Light passed through it and danced, like a rainbow. When it arrived, everyone stopped to stare. "She's here," someone whispered. The doors opened, and Princess Illyria of Thalasari stepped out. She was tall and graceful, with silver-blue skin that shimmered under the lights. Her long hair floated behind her like water. Her eyes were bright and full of life, and she moved with calm and confidence. She wore a flowing gown made from living silk that changed colors as she walked. Illyria was not just a princess. She was famous across the galaxy. Many called her the Jewel of the Stars. Her voice could calm angry crowds, and her words often brought peace between planets. Rumors said she had come to Harmony 1 to choose a future partner, someone worthy of standing by her side. Noble suitors were already waiting. Alien princes from far worlds, brave, smart, and rich, had come in their best clothes and strongest ships. They brought rare gifts, singing crystals, sun diamonds, and living sculptures. Each prince believed he could win her heart. But when Illyria stood before the Council of Earth, she did something unexpected. She looked around the room, scanning the faces of Earth's leaders, scientists, and diplomats. Then softly but clearly she asked, "May I speak to a human? A regular one?" The room went silent. A few council members looked at each other in confusion. One of them cleared his throat. "Princess, you are speaking to humans now," he said gently. She shook her head with a kind smile. "I mean someone who lives a normal life, not a leader, not a general. Someone honest." Everyone was shocked. Why would the most admired alien princess want to talk to an ordinary person? But Illyria stood patiently, her hands folded. "I have studied Earth from afar," she said. "I have read your books, listened to your music, and watched your old videos. I believe your people are special, not because of power, but because of heart." After a short discussion, the council agreed to find someone. They searched through the space station staff for someone who matched the princess's strange request. That's when they found Leo Martinez. Leo was a maintenance worker, a janitor. He fixed broken doors, cleaned hallways, and made sure oxygen systems ran smoothly. He didn't have high ranks or medals. He had never flown a ship or spoken in front of crowds. Leo was surprised, and a little scared, when the officers called him. "Me? You want me to talk to a princess?" "Yes," said the commander, not hiding his confusion. "Apparently you're the only one who fits." Leo looked down at his work suit and wiped his hands on a rag. "I'm not anyone special," he said, quietly. "That's exactly what she wants," the officer replied. A few minutes later, Leo stood in the grand hall where aliens from across the stars had gathered. He felt small, wearing his simple blue uniform among beings dressed in shining robes and strange armor. Then Princess Illyria turned to look at him, and smiled. "Hello," she said, her voice calm and kind. "Thank you for coming." Leo nodded, awkwardly. Hi, I'm Leo." She walked toward him and offered her hand. "Would you take a walk with me?" Leo blinked. Sure." And just like that, the galaxy watched in silence as the most admired princess left the stage. Not with a prince, but with a quiet human janitor. No one knew what she was thinking. But one thing was certain. This was just the beginning of a very unexpected story. Leo Martinez walked beside Princess Illyria through the station's glass corridor. Outside, Earth's blue-green curves spun slowly in the distance. Leo felt his heart beat fast. He had never been so close to a royal, let alone an alien princess. Illyria moved with gentle grace. Her living silk gown shimmered from pale lavender to soft sea green, matching the lights of the station. She did not hurry. She spoke in a calm voice that made Leo relax a little. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I know this must feel strange." Leo swallowed. "Yes, ma'am. It's a great honor. But I'm just a mechanic, not a diplomat." Illyria smiled. "That is why I chose you. I wish to learn about Earth from someone simple and true. Please call me Illyria." Leo nodded. His uniform was plain and dusty. He lifted his head. "All right. I'm Leo." Together, they stepped into a small garden bay. The air smelled of damp soil and bright flowers. Strange earth species grew under gentle lights: sunflowers, rose bushes, and small shrubs of lavender. A fountain in the center gleamed with soft water and floating petals. Illyria ran her fingers over one flower's petals. "On my world, we do not have these kinds of colors or scents." She looked at Leo. "Tell me, Leo, what is your favorite flower?" He thought for a moment. "I like sunflowers. They face the sun all day long. They always look happy." Illyria's eyes lit up. "A beautiful choice. I have heard of them. You see the bright side of things." Leo smiled shyly. He had never spoken so openly to anyone of high rank. Yet with Illyria's gentle questions, he felt safe to share. He walked with her to a small bench beside the fountain. He sat and she settled beside him, her gown pooling like soft water. Ripples formed in the fountain, sparkling in the lights. They spoke easily. Illyria asked about Earth's oceans, its forests, its people, and their dreams. Leo described simple things: children playing soccer in dusty fields, families sharing meals of spicy food, laughter around a campfire. He spoke of Earth's music, guitar and drum rhythms that made people dance. He told her how humans painted their hopes on canvases and sang songs of love. Illyria listened like a child hearing a fairy tale for the first time. Her bright eyes shone. "Your world is full of life and color," she said softly. "We Thalassari value harmony, but sometimes we lose passion. You remind me that life is also about feeling." Leo looked at the fountain. "Sometimes we fight too, but we also learn to care." Illyria nodded slowly. "Tell me about caring. Why do humans care for each other even when times are hard?" Leo paused. He stared at his dusty boots. "I think because we share stories. When you know someone's story, you feel their joy and pain. You want to help." He turned to her. "My mother once said, everyone's heart beats the same." Illyria placed her hand on his. Her skin was cool and smooth like moonlit stone. "That is a wise saying," she whispered. For a moment they sat in silence, watching petals drift on the water. Neither noticed the soft footsteps approaching. In a distant part of the station, the princes had gathered after the opening ceremony. They felt alarmed to learn that Illyria had chosen a human to walk with. Prince Kalor of Vasani, tall and proud, frowned. His dark uniform was trimmed with gold. "A janitor?" he spat. "She cannot be serious." Prince Ryu of Mendar, small but fierce, tapped his crystalline blade on the floor. "She knows nothing of human frailty. We must show her Leo is unworthy." Prince Davor of Zalax, with many eyes and silver scales, hissed softly. "We will arrange a test, something he cannot possibly pass." Back in the garden bay, Leo smiled at Illyria's gentle curiosity. He asked her about her world, Thalassari. She spoke of floating cities above coral seas and crystal forests that glowed at night. She told him of dances under twin moons and songs that echoed in underwater halls. "You speak of beauty," Leo said. "But what is the hardest thing about being a princess?" Illyria's gaze drifted to the ceiling lights. "To know that so many depend on you, to carry the hopes of an entire world." Leo's eyes widened. "That sounds heavy." She took a deep breath. But hearing your simple stories lifts my heart. You remind me why peace and joy matter more than power. He shook his head. I'm no hero. I just live my life. Illyria reached out and touched his arm. You have a hero's heart, Leo. You face life with honesty and care. That matters more than titles or medals. As they stood to leave, Leo felt a surge of confidence. With Illyria by his side, he felt seen for the first time in his life. She smiled at him, warmth shining in her eyes. He opened the glass door. Shall we return to the council hall? He asked. She nodded. Yes. But know this, Leo. You have shown me the greatest gift of all, your true self. Together, they walked back into the bright lights of the station. Behind them, unseen, the princes watched. Their faces were hard with resolve. They whispered of trials and tests. They would not let a simple human stand beside their princess without a fight. Unaware of the storm gathering, Leo and Illyria stepped forward. The next challenge was only just beginning. The morning sun gleamed through the station's windows as the three princes met in a quiet chamber. Prince Kalor of Vesani, Prince Ryu of Mendar, and Prince Davor of Zalax sat around a round table. Each wore a stern face. They had watched Leo's gentle walk with Princess Illyria and felt anger and confusion. How could their princess choose a simple janitor over royal heirs? They whispered among themselves and agreed. Leo must face a series of trials. They would prove that he was unworthy of Illyria's trust and affection. First, they arranged an intelligence test in the council lab. The room was filled with strange devices and glowing screens. Kalor stood at the front and spoke with a deep voice. Answer these puzzles, human. Show us your mind. Humble and nervous, Leo stepped forward. The first puzzle was a set of geometric shapes that had to form a perfect pattern. Many diplomats had failed this test in the past. Leo studied the shapes for a long moment, his brow furrowed. Then he gently moved one piece at a time until the shapes clicked into place. A soft chime rang. The princes exchanged surprised looks. Next came a more difficult challenge: logic and language. Screens displayed symbols from dozens of alien worlds, along with a simple text in Thalasari. Leo had never learned that language. His heart pounded. The princes watched closely. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and remembered a story his mother once told him about learning through feeling. He wrote down a series of simple associations. A circle meant home, a line meant path, and so on. With each guess, he smiled and moved on. To everyone's shock, the text translated into a peaceful poem praising unity. Illyria, watching through a glass wall, applauded softly. Still doubtful, Ryu introduced the second trial, a cultural performance. In the grand hall, dancers from different worlds waited. Each prince expected Leo to fail to honor their art. The challenge was to perform something that showed respect for any culture. Leo's face turned red. He had never been on a stage. He could barely hum a tune. Yet when Illyria quietly said, "Just be yourself," he nodded. He walked to the center of the hall and spoke in simple words about Earth's songs of home and hope. Then he hummed a folk melody his grandmother taught him. His voice trembled, but it was honest. He ended with a small bow. The dancers looked moved, some wiped their eyes. Even Kalor's lips twitched in surprise. Davor, stubborn and proud, sighed. He called for the final challenge, a zero-gravity duel in the training arena. The airlocks opened to a circular chamber where gravity could be turned off. Armed with training blades, each contestant would spar in weightlessness. The princes believed Leo would float helplessly. As Leo stepped into the arena, he felt fear like ice in his veins. Illyria's encouraging smile echoed in his mind. The gravity switches clicked. Leo floated. His legs kicked out and he tumbled. The princes lunged at him in choreographed moves. Leo could not follow their swift motions. He drifted, arms flailing, until a blade tapped his shoulder. For a moment, he panicked. Then he remembered his mother's advice. Find your center and you will find your strength. He reached inward for calm. He steadied his breath. With gentle movements, Leo tilted his body and used the arena walls to push himself. He matched the princess's speed. When Kaelor attacked, Leo sidestepped and offered a respectful nod. When Ryu twirled, Leo spun with him, laughing in surprise. The audience gasped as Leo moved not with force but with balance and grace. His blade tapped each prince lightly, signaling he accepted defeat with honor. As the duel ended, the princes hovered, stunned by his composure. When the gravity returned, Leo floated back to the ground and stood tall. His uniform was dusty and torn, but his eyes shone. He bowed to the princes, then to Illyria. A hush fell over the crowd. Illyria stepped forward and laid a gentle hand on Leo's shoulder. "You have faced every trial with honesty, kindness, and courage," she said in a clear voice. "These are the qualities I seek in a partner." She turned to the princes. "Power and skill are important, but so are heart and spirit." The princes lowered their heads. They realized that Leo's humble strength had surpassed their tests of skill, knowledge, and art. Though they felt disappointment, they could not deny the truth. Illyria's gaze returned to Leo, full of pride. The crowd broke into quiet applause. Many delegates whispered that they had never seen a heart so pure on a battlefield or a stage. As the hall emptied, Illyria and Leo stepped back into the glass corridor. Leo's steps were unsteady, but his spirit was strong. Illyria smiled and tucked a loose strand of his hair behind his ear. "Today, you showed me what it means to be human," she said softly. Leo looked at her, amazed by her trust. He realized that challenges and tests did not matter. What mattered was being true to oneself. Behind them, the princes watched from a distance. Their plans had failed, but a new respect had grown in their hearts. They would learn from this lesson that true greatness often lies not in power alone, but in the strength of spirit. And so a simple janitor stood stronger than royal heirs, ready to face whatever came next, side by side with the princess who chose him. After the trials, Princess Illyria and Leo attended a special session of the Galactic Accord. The Great Hall was vast, with tall windows showing distant stars. Representatives from many worlds sat around a glowing circular table. Two factions, the Corvin Syndicate and the Aryan Collective, had long held a quiet feud. Today, they would try to solve it with words. The Corvins, scaled reptilian diplomats, accused the Aryans, winged avians, of breaking a trade pact. Sharp cries filled the hall. One Corvin delegate slammed a claw on the table. "Your fleet took our mineral ships," he roared. The Aryans flapped their wings in anger. "You lied about delivery dates and forced us to pay extra." Their leaders' feathers bristled. Voices rose. Some delegates stood, pointing or shouting. Aryans hissed. Corvins clacked their mandibles. Ambassadors from other planets watched with growing alarm. Princess Illyria rose to calm them. She spoke in a clear, gentle tone. "Let us find a path forward in peace. Please, lower your voices." But her words were drowned by shouts and angry wing beats. Leo stood beside her, heart pounding. He watched each side shout over the other. He saw fear in the eyes of smaller delegates. He saw hurt in the gestures of proud warriors. He knew that no legal text could heal the pain in their hearts. He thought of Earth's old stories, where music tamed anger and built bridges. Turning to Illyria, Leo whispered, "May I try something?" She nodded, even though her brow was furrowed with worry. Leo stepped forward and touched a small device at his belt. It was a datasphere, a recorder of Earth's greatest art. The hall grew quieter as delegates noticed his movement. Leo held the sphere high. "Please listen," he called. He tapped the sphere and brought it to a small speaker near the table. The first notes of a violin solo filled the air. It was a human concerto by a long-gone Earth musician named Elena Ruiz. The melody was simple and clear, yet full of feeling. At first, some delegates covered their ears or exchanged angry glances. But as the music rose, the sounds of arguing faded. The violin spoke of longing and hope. In its gentle rise and fall, it carried a message older than any treaty, that two hearts in conflict could still beat together in harmony. Corvins paused, their clawed hands. Orions folded their wings. The melody reached a high note and held it, as if time stopped. Even the gaslights along the walls dimmed their glow in respect. The music washed over each being, touching parts that words had never reached. Princess Illyria's eyes glowed. She turned to Leo, her voice soft. This is why I chose you. Her words floated on the final lingering notes. Leo felt his chest tighten with pride and relief. He let the last note echo, then gently tapped the sphere off. A hush filled the hall. No one moved or spoke. Then slowly one Corvin elder bowed his head. We felt something I have not felt in cycles, he said, voice trembling. An Orion priest lowered his beak and whispered, Our anger. It seems small now. Other delegates nodded in agreement. Illyria rose and addressed the hall, her voice warm with emotion. Let this music guide our talks. Let us remember that behind every contract is a living soul. She gestured to Leo. He shows us that our greatest strength is our spirit. The delegates returned to their seats, not with grudging silence, but with respectful calm. The Corvins and Orions exchanged, papers, smiles replacing scowls. The repairs to their pact began, not under threat, but under shared humanity. After the session, Illyria and Leo walked through a side corridor. Leo pressed his palm to the datasphere, feeling its smooth surface. I did not know if it would work, he said quietly. Illyria smiled and squeezed his hand. You reminded them that emotion and art can heal old wounds. That is a gift of your people. Leo thought of the billions on Earth who had made and loved music. He thought of his mother teaching him to believe in the power of feeling. He realized that being human was more than just flesh and blood. It was the courage to share one's heart. Unseen by them, the three princes watched from a doorway. They had come to observe the humans' next test. Now they looked at Leo with new respect. They whispered among themselves that true strength came not only from mind or body, but from the soul's ability to reach others. Leo and Illyria stepped onto an observation deck overlooking Earth below. Silver clouds drifted over blue oceans. He said, The galaxy is bigger than I ever imagined. She leaned on the railing beside him. And yet, your small act tonight made it a better place. Leo smiled. Looking at the planet he called home, he felt the weight of his uniform, the joy of his gift, and the promise of adventures yet to come. News of Princess Illyria's choice spread across the stars and reached Thalasari long before she did. In the coral-gleamed halls of her home world, alarm stretched like a shadow through every corridor. The Thalasari Elder Council gathered in their grand dome, their pale faces lined with worry. Illyria had ignored noble princes and chosen a human, an ordinary janitor. To them, this was more than surprising. It was a breach of duty. Elder Maris, oldest among them, spoke first. Our people look to Illyria for strength. A union with a prince would bind worlds. But a human, what bond could that be? His voice echoed under the crystal arches. The other elders shuffled their robes and nodded gravely. At the next dawn, they sent a formal summons to Harmony 1. Illyria and Leo received it just after their morning walk among the station gardens. When Illyria read the message, her face went still. The summons said she must return home at once. She would have to choose one of the royal heirs for marriage, or renounce her title and forfeit her right to rule Thalasari. That afternoon, Illyria stood before Leo in the quiet glow of her suite. Her living silk gown drifted around her like gentle water. Leo felt the weight of her sorrow before she spoke. They give me an ultimatum, she said softly. I must marry a prince, or lose everything. Her bright eyes filled with tears. I will give it all up. I choose you, Leo, even if it costs my throne. Leo's heart clenched. He reached for her hand. Illyria, you can't do this. Your duty is to your people. You are their princess. He shook his head. Please don't. Give up your world for me. She brushed his cheek, her touch cool and kind. You have shown me what matters most, heart and spirit. I cannot marry for power or peace alone. I must follow what is true in my soul. Leo felt tears sting his eyes. He clenched his fists. How could he let her sacrifice all that she loved? He knew in that moment what he must do. Before Illyria could speak again, he bowed deeply and stepped back. Then I will do the only thing I can, he said, voice breaking. I will walk away. I will not be the cause of your downfall. Without another word, he turned and left the suite. Illyria gasped and reached out, but Leo was already gone. His footsteps echoed in the corridor. Behind him, her world trembled. Minutes later, Leo stood alone in the station's empty maintenance wing. He pressed his hand to the cold metal wall and closed his eyes. He loved Illyria more than life itself. But to save her title, he must remove himself from her path. He pictured her gentle smile, her soft words. Each thought stabbed at his heart. On the far side of the station, Princess Illyria returned to the crystal-lined shuttle that would take her home. She stood before the Elder Council's envoy and spoke with quiet strength. I renounce my right to the throne and to marriage with any prince, she announced. My choice is made. As she spoke, her voice trembled, but did not break. The envoy bowed and led her away. Illyria's eyes searched the crowd, hoping to see Leo one last time. But there was only empty space. Back on Thalasari, the Elder Council prepared for her arrival. They expected a humbled princess, ready to give up her crown. When she landed, she stood before them in full royal regalia, yet her eyes held only sorrow. Illyria, Elder Maris began, voice heavy. You have failed your duty. You have chosen a human. Yet you come to renounce your rights. Illyria met his gaze. I choose love and truth above all else, she said. I will not rule if I cannot lead with my heart. Silence fell. The elders exchanged troubled glances. Then, in a rare moment of unity, they whispered among themselves. Leo's sacrifice had reached them, even across space. They realized that the human had acted not out of pride, but out of selfless love. Elder, Maris stepped forward. His voice was softer now. Illyria, we have watched this human with careful eyes. He walked away to save you from sacrifice. That act shows a noble spirit. True leadership is not only power, but also the courage to let go. Another elder, Arena, added, he has passed the greatest test of all. He values your well-being above his own. Such love is rare in any world. The council rose together. Their jeweled robes whispered on the crystal floor. They turned to the princess. By the power of the Elder Council, Maris proclaimed, we do not strip you of your title. We bless your choice. You may marry this human if your hearts agree. Your people will follow you, for you follow what is right. Illyria's tears fell like silver rain. She dropped into a deep bow. Thank you, she whispered, voice choked with joy. On Harmony 1, Leo stood by a porthole, looking at the stars. He felt empty, as though his heart had been torn out. Then, a voice called softly behind him. Leo. He turned and saw Illyria in her simple dress, her gown set aside. Her hair was loose. Her eyes shone with relief. I came back, she said, stepping close. They have granted their blessing. They honor what you have shown them. Leo's heart thundered. He reached for her. I almost lost you, he said, voice shaking. I couldn't bear it. Illyria placed her hand on his chest. You risked everything for me. That is more than any prince could do. She smiled through her tears. Stay by my side, Leo. Let us face the future together. Leo bowed his head and closed his eyes. He felt her warmth and knew his sacrifice had not been in vain. The galaxy had seen that a human's greatest gift was the courage to love and to let go. Together, they looked out at Earth's blue glow. Their paths were joined not by duty alone, but by selfless hearts. And in that moment, they both knew that love had won. The great plaza on Thalasari was bright with morning light when Princess Illyria and Leo stepped into view. Thousands of Thalasari citizens had gathered on the crystal-paved ground beneath, floating gardens. Far above, coral towers glowed softly. Banners of blue and silver fluttered in the gentle breeze. Today was the day when Illyria and Leo would be crowned together, not only as partners but as symbols of a new unity between worlds. Illyria wore a simple gown of white living silk that shimmered like moonlight. She carried a small wreath of native Thalasari flowers. Leo stood beside her in a clean uniform borrowed from the council staff. He held his janitor's rag in one hand, a quiet reminder of his humble life. Neither royal robes nor jeweled crowns had ever felt so small, or so perfect. The elder council rose as the couple approached the dais. Elder Maris spoke into the crystal microphone, his voice warm and proud. Citizens of Thalasari and friends, from afar today we honor a bond formed by heart and spirit. Let this day mark a new chapter in galactic history. Illyria turned to Leo and reached for his hand. He squeezed her fingers, feeling the warmth of her palm. The lead elder placed a crown of woven light upon Illyria's head. It glowed gently, reflecting her silver blue skin. Then, in a carefully balanced gesture, the elder lifted a matching band and placed it around Leo's brow. The band pulsed with soft energy, an ancient symbol of Thalasari leadership. A roar of cheers rose from the crowd. Illyria and Leo bowed together, their hearts filled with joy. Around them, dignitaries from many worlds applauded, their strange shapes and bright colors adding to the wonder of the ceremony. Every eye was fixed on the pair who had bridged not only two hearts, but two very different civilizations. Weeks later, Earth prepared its own celebration. In the heart of New Geneva City, a grand stage stood beside the old United Nations building. Flags of Earth and Thalasari waved side by side. People from every continent gathered, state leaders, artists, teachers, and everyday families. A giant, hollow screen displayed images of Thalasari seas and Earth's blue oceans. On stage, Leo wore a dark blue suit borrowed from Earth's Council of Ambassadors. Illyria stood beside him in a gown that combined Earth's white lace with Thalasari's living silk. She smiled at the crowd and spoke into the microphone in perfect English. "People of Earth," she began, "thank you for welcoming me and for sharing your world. I stand here not only as Princess of Thalasari, but as a friend who learns from your courage, your art, and your hope." Leo stepped forward. His voice was calm but carried to the farthest rows. "My friends, I never imagined that fixing air, vents, and cleaning hallways would lead me here. But love and honesty opened the way. Today we celebrate unity, between worlds, between hearts." The crowd cheered so loudly that the windows rattled. Later, reporters said they had never seen humans so moved. After the speeches, a joint band of Earth and Thalasari musicians played a new anthem, blending human drums and wind instruments with Thalasari crystal chimes. The melody rose over the city like a promise that peace and joy could echo across any distance. In the weeks that followed, Earth and Thalasari began new collaborations. Scientists worked together to grow Thalasari coral in Earth's seas, hoping to restore damaged reefs. Artists from both worlds held joint exhibitions, combining Earth's paintings with alien holographic sculptures. Schools added classes about each other's cultures. Earth children learned Thalasari history and Thalasari youth studied Earth literature. Leo spent his days traveling between worlds as an ambassador of humanity. He spoke at conferences about Earth's simple strengths, kindness, creativity, and the power of shared stories. He never forgot that he was once a janitor, and he spoke to cleaning crews and technicians with the same respect he showed to world leaders. His message was clear: every person matters, no matter their title. Illyria led her people with renewed purpose. In the Elder Council meetings, she spoke of passion and empathy. She encouraged young Thalasari to learn Earth's music and art, believing that feeling was the starting point for wisdom. Under her guidance, Thalasari freed up coral forests to become public parks, where citizens could walk beneath glowing trees and remember the beauty of life. Months later, A new festival was held on Harmony 1 station. The central plaza was filled with delegates, artists, and visitors from every member world of the Accord. In the center, a polished black pedestal stood empty. A hologram flickered to life above it, an image of Leo and Illyria side by side, smiling. Elder Maris spoke to the assembled crowd. Let this hologram remind us that true unity comes from choosing each other, not for what we have, but for who we are. Then in a single moment, the hologram changed into a statue. It showed Leo and Illyria walking hand in hand, neither ahead nor behind the other. The crowd gasped in wonder as light traced every curve and fold of the sculpture. Illyria's voice came softly through the speakers. This statue stands on two worlds, so that wherever you come from, you may remember that we stand together in heart. Delegates from many planets approached the statue, leaving small gifts at its base. Earth flowers, thalassari shells, and trinkets from distant stars. Each offering was a promise to keep building bridges, to keep choosing unity and kindness. Leo stood beside Illyria beneath the statue. He looked up at their likeness, thinking of every step that had led him here. He whispered, "We did this, Illyria. Together." She leaned on his shoulder and smiled. The galaxy remembers when two hearts chose one path. May it never forget. A year after their joint coronation, the story of Princess Illyria and Leo had become legend. On Thalassari, the floating city of Coralspire prepared to unveil a statue. At the same time, on Earth's New Geneva Plaza, its sister statue would stand. Both statues would share the same design, Leo and Illyria walking side by side, hands joined, neither leading nor following. The statues were a promise that two different worlds could walk together in friendship and respect. On Thalassari, the plaza was filled with citizens of all ages. Children ran between glowing coral pillars, their laughter echoing. Elders stood quietly, their eyes misty with pride. Visiting ambassadors from distant stars wore fine robes and heavy cloaks. Many had brought small gifts, sea glass sculptures, rare minerals and flowers from alien gardens. They placed these offerings around the statue's base. At the center, a polished obsidian plinth held the statue's polished bronze. As the sun rose under Thalassari's twin moons, Elder Maris spoke first. His voice carried over the silent crowd. Today we honor not only our princess and her chosen partner, but the bond between Earth and Thalassari. May this statue remind us that true unity is born from respect, kindness, and love. With a slow motion, he pressed a crystal button. A soft glow spread across the bronze, and the veil dropped away. The crowd gasped in gentle wonder. The statue showed Illyria's flowing hair and Leo's simple uniform. Their faces were calm and kind. Flowers bloomed at their feet, carved in fine detail. Citizens stepped forward, laying their gifts at the base. A young child placed a small glass sphere, the light dancing inside. An old Thalassari woman bowed deeply and whispered a promise to protect peace. Half a galaxy away, on Earth, the New Geneva Plaza was alive with music. A mixed choir of human and Thalassari singers stood on a raised platform. They sang an anthem, in both English and Thalassari, their voices rising in harmony. People from all continents filled the plaza. They held banners that read "Unity in Diversity" and "Together We Rise." Photographers and news drones captured every moment. When the song ended, Leo and Illyria stepped forward. Leo wore a simple dark suit, and Illyria a gown of soft white linen embroidered with blue coral patterns. They stood before the statues, drape. Illyria smiled at the crowd. "This statue is for every person who dares to reach across a divide," she said. Leo held her hand and added, "It is for anyone who believes that kindness can change the world." With a shared breath, they pulled the cords. The veil fell, revealing the twin statue. Gasps and cheers filled the air. Some cried, others embraced. A man from India bowed his head. A teenager from Brazil raised her fist in joy. A Thalassari envoy streamed the moment to worlds that could not send a delegation. Messages of congratulations poured in from planets near and far. That evening, both statues were bathed in soft light. On Thalasari, lanterns made of sea glass floated overhead. On Earth, spotlights in blue and silver shone on the figures. Across the stars, messages of hope blazed in hollow charts. The statues stood as beacons, a reminder that two people, from different worlds, had changed the galaxy by choosing each other. In the weeks that followed, schools and academies held lessons about the statues. Children drew pictures of Leo and Illyria. Teachers told the story of how a janitor and a princess taught the galaxy about true strength. Scientists met to compare Earth's guardian tree with Thalasari's living coral forests. Artists blended human painting styles with alien holograms. Everywhere, people spoke of empathy, cooperation, and the power of small acts. Late one night, on Harmony 1 station, Leo and Illyria walked past a small replica of their statue. They held hands under the soft lamps. Leo looked at the metal figures and then at the stars beyond the windows. "We made something that speaks louder than words," he said softly. Illyria leaned her head on his shoulder. "Yes," she whispered. "May it guide all who see it to choose connection over fear."